Find out how you can participate in the show by visiting underthehoodshow.com.
866-594-4150. That's the number to reach us here at the Under the Hood Show. If you join the Hoodie Fan Club at underthehoodshow.com and you subscribe to our YouTube channel where you can watch the show, you could win a hoodie.
Like Bob Benson, congratulations from all of us here under the hood and our friends over at Universal Technical Institute. Universal Technical Institute is where you go to be trained to be an automotive technician. And once you do that, you could even move up to NASCAR Technical Institute as a trained automotive technician and get into a world of all sorts of stuff in marine mechanics, motorcycles, power sports, and pretty much anything that moves like that you can do. They've got an aircraft, airframe, and power plant mechanics course now for technicians for that. So lots of training available. Check them out at uti.edu today.
Maybe you could be the one to solve the gas can problem they've had the last couple weeks with the dripping gas. Have you seen that? They've had fires in the pit. Multiple.
I have not watched the last couple of weeks. I've only caught some highlights, but I'm surprised that wasn't on the highlights.
I don't like gas cans lately, and I looked to see if I could find one.
I haven't liked them for about 10 years since they changed them.
Apparently, eBay must have a ban on those like they do on selling tuners that are not emissions legal, because I searched all over several times trying to find an old, it's like vintage gas can with a vent. They're not on there. I couldn't find anything for sale. I found lots of nozzles, but no vented cans. So
you need to go to a farm auction or a garage sale.
I would like one. So
an estate sale.
What I did is I went and I found a can I found 2 gas cans that were labeled as do not use for gas. They're only made for this. Well, I found them in other countries, the same exact can, was made in China, but being sold somewhere else with a vent and a handle on them. They're 5-galloners.
Yeah.
I bought them and they work just fine.
Did you get them?
I've had fuel in them all summer and then no degradation of the plastic. They work just fine. For me, I suggest you never do that. But for me, they worked and I have a vented can.
866-594-4150. Let's talk to John. You're on the Under the Hood Show. John, what can we do for you?
Hey, guys. I have a 2011 Jeep Grand Cherokee with a 5.7 Hemi. And I'm wondering how to get a little better mileage out of it. I was told if I take the resonators off it, I could increase the mileage a little bit.
Probably not.
How much do you want to gain? What would be your reasonable expectation of what fuel economy you could gain with a slight modification? What would make you happy?
What's it getting now? 18 on the highway?
Maybe.
Yeah, so if it's maybe getting 18 on the highway now, if it got something different, what would you say would be cool?
Reasonably expectation for an improvement.
18 to what?
I'm hoping to get to 18.
Okay. So where are you at now? Because I'm going somewhere with this, and I'm not trying to pick on you, but I'm kind of going somewhere with this.
Well, if you cut the resonators off, will that boost the mileage any?
Well, no, we need to know where you're at now and what you'd like to go. Are you 16 and you'd like to get it to 18?
I'm saying I'm at 15 and I'd like to get to 18.
Okay. To get from 15 to 18 is going to be a struggle on this. And to get from 15 to 18, we could probably do it, but it's probably going to cost you about $4,000 to get there.
Okay.
And if you add up the cost of, if you take that, let's say we take $3,000 and divide it over fuel, that depending on how much you drive a year, that could be several years of driving in the difference between, just 3 miles per gallon. That's why we asked that, because to do it, you'd have to take the resonators off. You'd have to put a tuner on the vehicle. You may even have to put a camshaft in the vehicle and then a different air intake system on it. And that would get you just a little bit of change to where it would get that thing. And for me and Shannon and Chris too now, maybe not producer Doug, but the rest of us, as soon as we made those changes, we'd be like, "Whoo, the car drives a little better now, so we're going to drive a little faster." And then we'd lose that miles per gallon.
I would recommend getting we had one of our partners at one time was like Bully Dog tuners.
Yeah.
And I think Russ has got one yet in his Tahoe.
It gets me about a mile and a half better.
But I think the thing that helped you the most, or I know Michelle, you said, but with the driving coach,
Yeah.
that helped you watch what was happening with your fuel consumption and how to drive. That's the best way to pick up 3 miles a gallon.
That is one of the things I miss on my Prius, losing that screen, is that I can't see real-time gas mileage on it. I can't see it because when I could see it, when I wanted to, I didn't have it on all the time, but I could watch it, and I definitely noticed a difference in my mileage when I tried to get better mileage and could see the effects of what I was
These
doing.
guys call it hypermiling.
I know I can improve my mileage by 3 miles a gallon just by the way I drive.
Yeah, absolutely.
Putting a conscious effort towards it. And that is definitely the cheapest way to get fuel economy.
And Chris could probably improve his mileage in his truck just by driving it the way you normally drive.
Yeah.
You'd probably get 2 miles to get better.
If I'd go, I'm getting better mileage than you are, Shannon. Why? What's the deal here? 866-594-4150. John, thanks for the call. Good luck.
And of course, for John, just one more thing. You do want to make sure your vehicle's in a good state of tune. I mean, because that makes a difference too. You got to make sure that you got yourself your recent tune-up with the plugs are all good, the coils are firing right, oxygen sensors are reading right.
That Hemi, we see a lot of people on average, our customers, when they come in, if you look at their dash monitor, whether it's a truck or that Jeep, we're going to see if they're combined city and highway, most of them are going to be sitting right at about 13.5 to 14.5. That's where I see them most of the time. Occasionally somebody will come on and it'll say 16, and I'll say, where are you driving? Oh, we just got back from a long trip on the highway. It's just what they do. Our Tahoe is about 18 everywhere we go, unless we're on a really long trip, and then we get maybe 20 on our old Tahoe, and then the newer one is like 27 all the time. It's crazy, and it's heavier.
It's awesome. I can attest that too. We just took my truck to Minneapolis last weekend to watch the Vikings lose, and when we were driving on the highway and on the long trip, I got I think it was 18.4 is the best I've ever seen on there. But then normally it's in the 11, 12, 13 range around here, just bopping around. So
866-594-4150. Let's go to North Carolina and talk to Rob. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Rob, what can we do for you?
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call. I called earlier about a 2012 Lexus Rx350 with some steering noise.
Yeah.
And I found that the right side passenger side boot on the strut was damaged, and actually the rubber, some of it got caught in the strut itself.
Yeah.
In the shock absorber part. So I jacked it up as much, and removed all the rubber I could out, gently, and it still makes the noise. And we're about to get the car aligned, and for basically uneven tire wear. So, with all that in mind, I just want an opinion on: do I need to put the boot on, another boot on, replace the struts, or what?
How many miles were on this Lexus? Can you remind us?
Sure, it's 160,000 plus.
So you have not fixed the boot?
You just cut rubber away, it sounds like.
Okay, yeah. So
right, have not fixed the boot, and the car handles fine. I mean, there's no issue of bouncing or anything. Or stiffness.
It sounds to me like you've got some bad struts on the vehicle. They're worn out. The strut bearings are bad, and with the boot missing and coming apart, that's a good reason you got some moisture in the strut bearing. That's what it's supposed to be there to deflect dirt and moisture. It doesn't seal it, but it directs it away from the top of that strut and also out of the strut bearing area in there, which is up on located at the top. But it sounds like it needs a pair of struts. If it's going to be something you're going to keep a while and the struts are already weak and it's going to leak. If it's got a boot torn away, you might be thinking about a pair of struts. Just say, hey, let's do an alignment and a pair of struts. How much is that versus just the alignment? And it's going to be significant difference between if an alignment's $150, an alignment and the struts might be $700. But
Does the aftermarket make a ready strut for that type of vehicle?
Yeah, they should. I believe that we've done some of those.
A complete strut is what we're talking about, that has everything already assembled, and it becomes a bolt-in item, and you save labor at the alignment shop, but you pay more for the assembly versus putting new cartridges and stuff in there.
Same as the Avalon. I think we did one on Chris's car, the front struts on it. But yeah, it'd be a good deal.
Yeah, so the original springs, you're not saving those, but you're saving money.
Right, because you're replacing the whole thing: the strut, the spring, the bearing, the boot, all of it in one unit, and it'll make it safer to drive for you too. When you drive down the road, you'll notice it doesn't dive as much in the corners on the front end, and the wheels stay planted when you're stopping as well.
If the vehicle's a little newer, sometimes you can get, I'm going to say fortunate, by checking an opportunity. If you go on Car Part, our partner that you can do a recycled auto parts search, you can sometimes find a vehicle that in that interchange range that got wrecked and the back end got hit when the vehicle had 50,000 miles on it. And if they have both struts available off the same vehicle, and you can see the mileage is showing 50,000, you could do, if you have to, do a VIN check on it to make sure everything's accurate. And if they've got the struts and they tell you that they look good and they're clean and it's from an area of the country that's not all rusty, you could probably pick up a pair of struts fairly affordably and bolt those on. We
did that recently on one of these newer Suburbans. So the Silverados and the Suburbans, like 18 and up, they did a poor design. My opinion, it's a poor design of the strut. They made the spring about half as tall as normal, but much thicker, and it puts a lot of stress on the strut. Well, those struts are like $1,800 a pair new to buy them. So we picked them up used, a pair of them that still had the year warranty on them, and they were like $800, and they had 30,000 miles on them. So that's, and we find those. We just did a Avalon. We had to order in a strut for the back of that because it was hit, and we just thought, man, a new one is so expensive for that.
So sometimes it's an option to consider. It may not work for every situation, but there's some that it's definitely worth considering.
Rob, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. 866-594-4150. You're listening to the Under the Hood Show. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we want to hear from you.
Make a radio appointment each week to hear the Nordstrom's Under the Hood Show.
866-594-4150. That's the number to reach us here at the Under the Hood Show. What's caught your guys' attention in the automotive world?
The thing that I'm probably paying the closest attention to as we record live right now is the labor negotiations between the United Auto Workers and the manufacturers.
That's a good point.
Domestic manufacturers.
We record this on Thursday morning and do it live.
And hopefully today's the deadline.
Today's the day, yeah.
And so we're going to watch that really close because that has an opportunity to really put a wrench in the works for a recovering auto industry. And, since COVID, there was huge supply issues and availability issues and inventory issues. And so if this becomes a nasty strike, I hate to use that term, where they start locking out of plants and doing different things, or the workers are refusing to show up and they do it.
It's the same as no parts.
Strategically or whatever. It's in the end a lot the same effect as what we had during the supply crunches of COVID. And the manufacturers know it and the unions know it. And so it'll be interesting to see how this plays out as they approach a midnight Eastern time deadline as we record live today. So a lot of people in the industry paying very close attention to that. I know it affected me this morning when we were talking about hedging some metals for catalytic converters. It affects friends of mine that are in the new parts industry who have been trying to strategically be ready for it, to make sure they have the things on hands that they need for their dealerships and for their customers historically. So there's a little buffer zone there to hopefully get past, because so many parts are on demand through the parts network overnight. There's trucks running all over the country all the time that are delivering overnight to distribution hubs, to dealers.
I order parts overnight all the time, and a lot of times right from the dealership. They say, you know what, it's coming right out of our main hub in Minneapolis tonight. And if they don't have it, if I order it today, then it's tomorrow morning. From as long as I get it by 6 p.m. tomorrow morning, I'll see it out of Minneapolis. And if If they don't have it, it's coming out of Detroit, and I see it the next day.
Yep. So I mean, that's quite amazing when you think about it.
Yeah.
It's
while
ridiculous.
we're sleeping, the alternator that you need from the Michigan warehouse is moving along, and we do that now with recycled parts. We've got a transportation system. We're part of Team PRP, and we've got a transportation system that's all across the country. Well, I shouldn't say that. West Coast is harder. We hit the mountains, and we haven't quite got that one figured out over the mountains yet. But we've got literally hundreds of recyclers involved in a transportation network that we can move parts around the country very efficiently and get things for people. So the challenge is going to be what happens with these with the strikes, because you've got UAW workers in the plants. Yes, that's a big effect. But you also have UAW workers in the parts warehouses, distribution centers, and many other places that, if that doesn't get settled, it is going to be a big effect. So we'll be watching that close here, and maybe, hopefully by the time you hear the airing of this show, they'll have it figured out.
Right. Yeah, if you're listening to the podcast version or a affiliate version, hopefully it's no longer an issue. I hope this show is outdated by the time it hits the network.
And I think a lot of people don't realize, and like I said, I got a good friend of mine that's heavy into this. I don't think they realize the effect that the auto industry has on our gross domestic product. I mean, if this went on for too long, it would truly have it could truly tip us into a recession if it went on too long.
Mm-hmm.
I hate to be a doomsdayer, but
3 months will do it.
Because there's just enough dollars and cents involved in the auto industry, and that's why the government took such a heavy hand and thought they needed to when we were going through such tough economic times back in 2008, was it, or whatever?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so that's why they were so concerned then, too. So we'll have to see how this plays out.
866-594-4150. Let's go to Virginia and talk to Dale. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Dale, what can we do for you?
Yeah, I got an 84 Eldorado Cadillac, and it's a 4.1 motor, fuel injection. And what it's doing, after 45 minutes to an hour of driving it and come to a stoplight or a stop sign, the RPMs go up to about 3,000, maybe 3,500. And the only way to get it back down is put it up in neutral, run the accelerator all the way to the floor and pop it back, and then it's good until you come to another stoplight or stop sign. So what's causing that?
It could be a number of things. It's been years since we worked on one of these, but we've worked on many of them with the 4.1s and the 4.5s, and a few of them would do this, and they would run away, and it can be caused by a faulty idle air control motor. It can be caused by a faulty engine computer. It can be caused by a faulty throttle position sensor. Even a dirty throttle body can do this. One of the other things that can cause it is a transmission that is not, the range sensor is not reporting back to the computer whether the vehicle is in gear or out of gear, or a power steering pressure switch that is giving a false impression to the computer saying that there's high pressure when there's not, causing it to want to idle up high, and revving it up will change the pressure enough that it'll switch back to the not pressurized position. Air conditioning saying that it's on when it is not actually on in the engine computer, or if you have the air conditioner or defroster turned on, but the system is old and has leaked, so there's no refrigerant in it, so there's no load on the engine, but it says compressor commanded, it can do it. So as you're seeing, there's a lot of things that can cause it, but altogether, these are things that can be diagnosed with a skilled technician and a scan tool to look at those data and see where they're at.
Well, your 1984 Eldorado is interesting in the fact that they were pushing some modern technology into that car, getting ready for the changeover year in 86, which was where they downsized that car and made it kind of part of their general platform of cars, more like a Delta 88 per se, or a Buick Park Avenue. So that 84 Eldorado is that big, heavy front transaxle, beautiful beast that they're starting to become pretty popular. I'm going to call this a Berkeley Classic. And so, so that means we gotta guess the color of this car. And don't tell us, Dale. I think this qualifies. Don't you guys think?
I think so. Yeah.
I think it's burgundy.
Burgundy's a good guess.
Burgundy.
I think it's brown with a padded top, and
Chris, you got to say
it's
white.
Actually,
Caddy.
you know what? I'm going to back
No.
up. It's a.
Whoa.
This is a white Baritz Cadillac.
No, you can't use
I know.
Chris's
No.
answer.
No,
You
I'm
can't.
backing up.
No, you can't.
I'm
Brown.
No.
You said
Brown.
brown. I'm going with cream colored.
So we got maroon, brown, cream.
What is it, Dale?
It's maroon, and it's a Barrett, and it's got the steel top on it and vinyl top.
That's what I was going to say about the top with the Baritz.
What
but-
color's the vinyl top?
It's a maroon.
Okay.
So
we hit a couple there.
yeah, we did.
Yeah.
So what have you done to the car to try to fix this? Like when it's at 35 RPMs, is it trying to drive away from you, or is it you got to hold the brake, or what's happening here?
You definitely got to hold the brake until you put it in neutral.
So that's the one that's got that. It's a goofy idle air control motor. It's electric, and it bolts on to the driver's side there, and it has like a ratcheting. You know what I'm talking about, Shannon?
I do. That's why I wanted
That
to make sure we were
electric
thinking about the right generation of Eldorado here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those things were faulty when they came out. they lasted a while, but we were fixing them. We were fixing them back in. I remember back in Texas in '86, '87. We were working on 84s because of that.
Yeah, and they didn't put the 4.1 in there till like 82 or something like that.
Yeah, and then they went to the 4.5, and then the 4.9.
They never used a 4.5 in that car, I don't think.
Other caddies, they
Yeah,
did.
no, but
They're all the same
The next
design.
generation they did when they went to that next generation of car.
Wet
They used a
sleeve
307
engine.
Olds in these for a while.
Yep.
Yeah, let me ask you another question. If I ever wanted to change the motor, instead of putting money into it, want another motor, what would I put in there other than a 4.1?
If other than a 4.1, the 4.1, the 4.5, and the 4.1 are going to be almost impossible to find because they're a wet sleeve engine and nobody rebuilds them because the cylinders will pull right out like an old tractor when you take the heads off. So you'd have to go to something different. So if you're going to go to something different in that, I would get on YouTube and see what people have done and then talk to some of the local people who do some of the conversions. And I would seriously consider possibly an LS engine for longevity, reliability, ease of fixing, and also they can be economical as far as the cost. You could put like a 5.3 in there, 4.8 engine and get much better mileage. And they'd be reliable.
The thing that I don't know,
But
Russ,
costs money.
and I've never looked it up, and they probably make an adapter, but I think that
You can get an adapter.
that 4145 used the same bell housing as like the Buick Oldsmobile.
Yeah, you can get an adapter to go to a 350 Chevy. I've seen people put 350
There you
Chevys
go.
in these.
Well, if you put a 350 Chevy in there, you could put an LS in there.
Yeah, and I would say that for me, if I was going to have to spend that kind of money to swap it to something different, that's probably what I'd do because of the reliability of it.
Or you'd almost have to find a little bit older one with that 307 Olds and rob everything out of there.
I bet if you went to YouTube right now and typed in 1984 Eldorado with LS engine, there's probably a dozen of them on there.
Dale, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. I think that they should just spin off the LS motor and just make that its own company and just keep pumping out thousands of them and just put them in everything. They seem to be perfect in almost every situation.
GM has got a good thing there.
That'll do it for this hour of the Under the Hood Show. Hour 2 is coming up. The phone number to reach us, 866-594-4150.
You're listening to the Nordstrom's Under the Hood Show with the Motor Medics, Shannon Nordstrom and Russ the Super Tech Evans. Shannon is an ASE engine and parts specialist, and Russ is an ASE Master Certified Technician with extensive factory drivability training. Join the Motor Medics for fun and free automotive advice with real-world solutions to everyday automotive problems. The Under the Hood Show is heard weekly on this and other great radio stations across the U.S. Find out how you can participate in the show by visiting underthehoodshow.com.
With Russ Evans, this is Shannon Nordstrom, thanking you for tuning in to the Nordstrom's Under the Hood Show. Have a great day, and remember, PTLA.
The opinions heard on this program, based on the many years of experience of Russ and Shannon, are offered for entertainment value only and as a guide to your repair needs. No claim to repair or cause is given or implied. Always consult with your own certified technician and follow all safety procedures before attempting any repair. To be a part of the show, call 866-594-4150. Under the Hood is produced by Prairie House Productions. All content is the property of Nordstrom's Automotive Incorporated and may not be used without our permission. Copyright Nordstrom's Automotive, Inc. Now, let's go under the hood with the Nordstrom's Motor Medics.
Welcome to the Under the Hood Show. We are glad to have you with us. Russ Evans is here to answer your automotive questions.
Thanks for joining us under the hood.
Shannon Nordstrom is here to do the same.
Welcome, hoodies. Thanks for tuning in so we can help you tune up.
And if you could see how childish we are off the air, making each other make noises just to turn our mics on,
You'd listen even more.
you would.
Then
You'd watch
us.
the YouTube channel.
Exactly.
Then you could see that all.
I'm Chris Carter here to take your calls at 866-594-4150. Let's talk to JJ. He has a story for us. He's been on hold for quite a while here as we were trying to get each other to make stupid noises just to trigger the cameras. JJ, welcome to the Under the Hood Show. What can we do for you?
Yeah, I guess you.
Oh, no, JJ, your cell phone just went bad.
Oh, no.
That is, let's try again. Did you switch anything? Whatever you were talking to our producer on, keep that. Go to that setting. Try again, JJ.
That's a good one.
Hello?
Okay, try again.
Hello? Hello?
Okay, so now we're at least sure that cell's not working, right? Because so now
Give him one more try.
it's too late. He dropped off. That wasn't.
So it's really
as you
not
said
working.
that, it dropped off.
He'll call back.
Let's go to Missouri instead. Let's go to Missouri and talk to Craig. You're on the Under the Hood Show. What can we do for you, Craig?
Yeah, I got a 2004 Silverado, and I can't find the fuel filter.
Well, if you can't find a fuel filter, it doesn't have one because that was the brake right there. Say they, depending on the build date of it, they put it it's on the driver's side, just forward of the ABS pump, just under your driver's side seat. So if there's no fuel filter there, then it's the later design and it's in the tank with the pump. No fuel filter.
I got an 02 with the 6.0 in it.
Same place.
And it's right there under the seat.
Yep.
On the driver's side, but I picked up an 04 two-wheel drive. I follow that fuel lines back and forth, and there's no filter.
Yep. That's exactly where it's at. Same place as that 02. So if it's not there, then that's the system they used with the returnless and a in-tank fuel filter. It's supposedly designed to last 100,000 miles.
I was going to say, what's the manufacturer brag about for maintenance on that?
Depending on how dirty it gets, but also when you replace it, you replace the whole fuel pump assembly. The fuel pumps have come down on those. They're more affordable now, a lot more affordable than they were 6-7 years ago. So, yeah, if you wanted to put one in it, or if you have a problem where it's running lean because your fuel pressure is dropping off under load because of that filter being clogged, yeah, the only way to replace it is to replace the whole unit in the tank.
Right. Yeah, it's got 230,000 miles on it. I just picked it up pretty cheap, but turning it into a work truck and
might be okay. Mine's got way more than that.
Trying to find it.
Yeah, mine's got way more than that for miles on it, and it's still got plenty of pressure and working just fine.
Is that the original pump as far as you know?
Yeah, as far as I know. I mean, well, probably because it had like 110,000 on it when I got it, and I doubt it'd been replaced.
Yeah.
It could have been, but as little as we put on, and now it's got many more, and it's fine. But we typically get good quality fuel from a good station and run it through there. So.
Craig, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. 866-594-4150. Let's try JJ again. You're on the Under the Hood Show. JJ, what can we do for you?
Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Awesome. So I have two nephews that work at Cars Auto Body up in Aberdeen. The one that's named after me, Joseph, he rebuilt, I think it's a 69 Charger or Challenger. I just shared it on your guys' Facebook page. These guys grew up with wrenches in their hands when they were young. Didn't even go to Votech school. You guys got to check it out. Have your listeners check it out. He did an awesome job. It's a car that his father had as a younger man. And Joey, he used to have a Hellcat, and
people in Aberdeen always wanted to race him. He ended up selling the Hellcat because he got tired of being asked to race in Aberdeen. So he's got a lead foot to begin with. So, but check it out. It's an awesome car. It's right up your guys' alley.
Well, a question I have for you when you called in, and you would love to hear stuff like this, but I do have to ask: was it important to you to note at the beginning of the call that his name was after you?
Well, it's kind of a blessing, and and these guys are. I mean, I can do basic stuff on the car, but these guys, if you look at the pictures on his Facebook, I mean, it was a wreck. I mean, he built it from the ground up, and to have not gone to a VOTEC school, these young men are really dedicated, and it's so cool. I mean, I'm very proud of Joey and what he did. And
that's awesome. Well, now this car is definitely a Berkeley classic. I just caught Chris trying to look it up.
No. I was trying to find that
He's got the computer in front of him. We don't. If anybody listens to the show, we don't have computers in front of us.
Now I understand
I don't want you to look.
I understand your mime now. Okay. I got
Is that okay? Don't
It
look.
makes sense now. At the time, I thought you were just saying stop.
Well, you're way better at charades than I am.
Yeah.
Because I'm terrible at it, it seems like. Over the years, you've never gotten me to get one.
You're also terrible at whispering.
Yeah.
So
he's whispering right now.
I'm terrible at any of the subtle arts.
Don't look at your computer.
Anything subtle in art, that's not me.
Yeah. Okay,
So this Berkeley Classic, and it's either a Challenger or a Charger, this is a good guess car because of one thing, and I'll say it after we guess. I think that this car is repainted to be the same color, purplish, of a Hellcat Charger.
Okay.
Because he got rid of a Hellcat Charger.
Okay.
That's my guess.
Purplish?
Yeah. What do you
It doesn't count unless you give us the formal name of it.
I don't know.
And if you can't get it, I'm going to guess it, and I get the win if I'm right.
Passion or I can't say it. Go ahead, Russ.
If you stepped on one, I hit the brakes. It was kind of like stepping on a plum crazy.
I couldn't say it, so I wasn't going to get
crazy.
it. Yeah.
I think it's fine. He's got that. It's green.
All right, you're going green. You're purple. I'm going to go orange because
if it's a Charger, it's probably orange.
Because what can we can't go with a regular
if it's a Challenger,
color,
it's
even though
be plum
they were
crazy
probably there were probably many that were normal colors. Those we don't remember, right? There were black.
There was
and
gold
yellow.
ones. There's all kinds of colors.
JJ, what color is the car
Challenger
now?
was tan.
The color now is blue. But it's no, I'm very proud of him, and their customer list in Aberdeen is growing just because of the dedication they have to their customers, and
that's cool. Thanks very much for the call. That is cool. And he did get that. He was sure to get that in there. That he's the one that. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
I just got a kick out of that.
Me too. 866-594-4150. JJ, thanks very much for the call. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we want to hear from you on the Under the Hood Show.
Car feeling ill? Don't want to spread it to your wallet? Call the Motor Medics now for free advice.
866-594-4150. That's the number to reach us here at the Under the Hood Show. What else has caught your attention? I have something that I've been holding on to for a little bit.
Is it the thing?
It is this is from the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety.
Oh, those guys.
And it is the newer vehicles with the highest U.S. driver death rates.
Oh, well,
so this is from the data that was available when I got this, and this was like a month ago that I pulled this. It is from the 2018 to 2021 model year equivalents. And it gives you the deaths per, does exist here. It is like the deaths per 100 or million miles driven. Boy, I wish I could see that.
Of a model of car?
Estimated deaths per million registered vehicle years for these models. The 2020 and 2018 through 21 equivalents.
So how many? Okay, I'm bad with this stuff sometimes. How many vehicles have to be sold to make the list? I mean,
they're extrapolating. So if there's 500,000 sold, they're doubling it to 1 million. If there's 10 million sold, they're cutting it down. Does that make sense?
So it makes it equal.
Right. It's deaths per million.
I was going to say, if we said sold 2 million Corollas and 300 of another one, well.
Yeah, exactly. It's deaths per million. So at number one, what do you think is, there's no way you would get these number ones.
Are they exotics?
No, but.
How about a Nissan 370Z?
No. And that is.
Because that was always high on the list, my son said.
Ford Explorer.
The number one is the Mitsubishi Mirage G4.
Well,
at 205.
I believe it.
At number two is the Mitsubishi Mirage hatchback.
I still believe it.
Then at number three, and that's at 100.
We're not laughing about people dying. We're laughing about Russ's reference over there they made.
Okay, these are tiny
absolutely.
cars. Tiny cars.
Yeah, absolutely. At number three is the Dodge Challenger two-wheel drive.
Now we're getting into cars people are playing with.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that every time I look out on the interstate. They're flying.
Number four is the Hyundai Accent, and number five is the Chevy Spark.
Once again, subcompacts.
And then we kind of stay small here with the Spark, the Chevy Spark, the Kia Rio sedan.
So when you ask the question, should I get my kid a little tiny subcompact car?
Maybe.
Probably no.
Yeah.
The big, and we got ripped one time because we kind of made fun of a certain model car that was a tiny little subcompact with 12-inch wheels, and we said those things are okay. You know, we actually said they were junk. They're not junk. They're super safe, and that's an exaggeration. Well, these cars people were getting killed all the time driving these cars. Their number was very high. We said, well, they're tiny. It's like driving a motorcycle. If you hit a truck, you're not going to win. But in the case of buying your kid a bigger car, we also found out that's not necessarily true. A safer car, but not necessarily a bigger one. Because if you're driving a 77 LTD and you run into, let's say, a 2005 Impala at the time, probably going to have a better chance surviving that Impala, even though the other car weighs almost twice as much.
So how far you got to go before you get out of the subcompacts there?
Well, we get the Charger next, then the Nissan Altima, then the Camaro, and at number 10 is the Kia Forte. So that's I just thought that was interesting. And it's the Mirage taking the top two spots.
Not something they're making an advertising campaign out of.
No.
Are those
and
the
I
top
wonder,
two cheapest, most affordable selling
first
car?
one, though, the VR one.
The Mirage G4. What I'm just wondering is, I mean, how many Mirage, going back to, they're extrapolating this, I'm, comparing apples to apples. If you get one or two accidents with a couple numbers in it on the Mirage, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think the Mirage and
they didn't sell a ton of them.
Right. So
now they're like in town, we've got a car lot that has a very large number of those little cars on that lot because they're cheap. And they're like super cheap. I think they're the number one cheapest car you can buy from a
and that would be
auto
a
manufacturer.
case of driving conditions. If you're driving around town, that makes a difference versus being out on the interstate at 80 miles an hour. There's going to be a difference in what kind of car is safe for your kid too, right? I mean, that's definitely going to play a part. I don't know if you would want to have to say, hey, if you're leave your car at school, but if you're driving home for the weekend, catch a ride. But I mean, that could be something to keep in mind when you're looking at the smaller cars. You have to also think of your use of it and where you are and traffic patterns.
100%.
866-594-4150. Let's go to North Dakota and talk to Kim. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Kim, what can we do for you?
Yeah, hi. I have a 2019 Dodge 5.7 liter, and a year after I bought it, it was brand new. It wouldn't start right. It would. I'd have to start pumping it. At the time, I had pumped it once, but now it's getting to the point where I got to pump it 3 times and it'll start. So I'm wondering if you guys knew of anything you heard of anything like that on a Dodge pickup?
Run me through this. So if you don't touch anything on the floor and you just turn the key to crank it, it won't start. But if you pump it, now, are you pumping it while you're cranking? You got the key turned to the crank position. Is that when you're pumping it, or are you pumping it before you?
Right. When it's to the crank position and the starter's going, I'm pumping 2-3 times.
If you're doing that, it's adding fuel while you're cranking. If you were to just turn the key on and pump it and not crank it, it's not doing anything. So if it's adding fuel, it must be that it's running too lean to start. It's not sensing that, hey, we're cranking, we need some input here. And typically that, depending on whether you've got a vehicle with a mass airflow sensor or a MAP sensor, then those are the components that sense the air flowing into the engine and tell the computer, okay, we're in the crank position. The computer says ignition is in the crank position. We're turning over. We expect this thing to fire. Add fuel as needed. If it doesn't see air going by the mass airflow sensor, it's not going to add fuel. But if you step on the throttle, it will add fuel and it'll fire up. And then once it runs, it's fine and no codes. MAP sensor, same way. When it sees a change in intake state and it sees it in the crank position, it adds fuel. It goes. If it doesn't, you give it a little gas. It could be a little bit of carbon buildup in there. It could be that sensor has failed. It could also be that it needs some programming and maybe it's a pretty new vehicle yet. It may have had a problem in the programming, a little glitch when it was being first calibrated.
Yeah,
so
it was barely a year after I got it, brand new, it started doing that. So.
Yeah, and I think that could be a glitch in the factory. It may just need a reflash. And if I was attacking this at my own shop, I think I'd probably look at it, and if I didn't discern anything, I would probably try a flash of the computer first to update it, and then I would look very closely at the MAP sensor on that system and see what's going on in there, see if there's an issue.
That help you out there, Kim?
Okay. Yep, that sounds good. I might try that stuff then.
Yeah.
Thanks very much for the call.
Makes it hard to use a remote start in that situation, because you got to pump that throttle.
Oh yeah.
I've done remote start. I don't do anymore, but I did them old enough that I did them on carbureted vehicles, and we had to put in an accessory. What was that? Polar start, I think it was, and we had to put an accessory throttle pumper in there. And
really?
You program it with dip switches, which is just a row of switches.
Mm-hmm.
Click, click, click. How many pumps of the throttle and how far per throw. So you would step on the throttle all the way to the floor and let it up while one switch was on, and then you shut that switch off, and it would tell it how far it traveled. And then the next switch would be for quarter throttle, half throttle, full throttle, and you would set that to how far it'd go, and then how many times you would pump it at that space.
That sounds completely easy to do.
Because, well, think about it. Cars, borrow grandma's car. Oh, you got to step on it all the way to the floor twice and then push it halfway and crank it until it starts and then let off it. And then other ones would be like, don't touch it at all. And then the other one would be one time or it'll flood. And
hold it to the floor.
And they change. Cars would change too over the course of time. So you would have to adjust these things. So during that first year, you'd always be changing it and people would be so excited because it...
Here's how soft I am. I had a remote start on my car, got a different car, and was going to put the remote start in, but it has heated seats, and I realized all I wanted to do was not be cold, so I don't need the remote start because I can just get in and turn it on, and the heated seats heat up quick enough that...
Is that enough heat?
Yeah, because I think it's just emotional. It's just emotional heat. It's not, because when it's 30 below, there's no heat that's good enough when you're starting. You know what I mean?
I tell you what, a heated steering wheel and good seat heaters make all the difference.
Yeah.
Because when we were traveling on a trip with a newer vehicle that had that,
mm-hmm.
we fired that thing up when it was 25 below zero going through Kansas in that really bad cold snap we had. And it only run for 3 or 4 minutes. I was like, well, let's get on the road. We got a time schedule here and let's get moving. I know that thing's going to be cold. And I got in, everything was like almost icy inside when it was that cold.
Mm-hmm.
But already the seats and the steering wheel were warm, and I thought, oh, my hands are warm, my butt's warm, I'm good.
That's it.
Let's go down the road.
So it's emotional heat.
Yeah. He's right. It's hands and butt. That's all you need.
Support.
Yep.
Heat.
866-594-4150. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we want to hear from you on the Under the Hood Show.
Get your planner out right now and schedule your next radio appointment with the Motor Medics.
866-594-4150. That's the number to reach us here at the Under the Hood Show. If you subscribe to our YouTube feed and you join the Hoodie Fan Club at underthehoodshow.com, you could win a hoodie.
Like Bert Johnson, congratulations from all of us under the hood and our friends over at Universal Technical Institute, uti.edu.
Dude, JJ's nephew should go there and just put the polish on that and get out there.
Sounds like JJ's nephew could go teach a class.
Yeah,
He's
no
learned so
kidding.
much.
Yeah.
Well,
With the following that he's acquired.
If you are a former mechanic or you're a mechanic right now and you've been doing it long enough that you feel you have something to offer people, that would be a place to go. Get a hold of them because they are always looking for good, qualified, capable teachers. I don't think we've ever mentioned that, but they're looking for those. So contact the guys at uti.edu and they will put you in contact with the right folks for that. I know they've asked us several times.
Or you just get a hype man like JJ.
Right.
You know, just,
yeah,
that's all you need.
Oh.
You don't have to go to school. Just get a hype man.
866-594-4150. Let's talk to Roger. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Roger, what can we do for you?
Yeah, I used to be in the military as a motor sergeant there for years, and we always alkalinity checked our vehicles and stuff. And now I have this 2003 Dodge Dakota, which it's 20 years old now, and I've had the antifreeze flushed once about 10 years ago. I talked to the local dealers, and they act like I'm out of my mind having them check the alkalinity. And I just wondering what do these civilian dealers do and stuff to check alkalinity to decide when you should change your coolant?
Well, I tell you what, they should do it more often. They should look at doing that more often because there's a lot of people that talk about, you know, you need to get your coolant flush, you need to do this, you need to do that. But there are tests that can be done to check the alkalinity, and you know about it. And since you know about it, you're saying, why aren't you doing this? So what did you find when you checked your own vehicle?
Well, I can't find the sticks that we used to get. We used to get a little bottle of 40 sticks, and I would go through the whole fleet in an afternoon and check and see which one needed to be changed and which one didn't. But I can't find out here in this civilian world anything like that. They all look at me as if I'm from outer space or something. So I don't know what to do. I guess I'm just going to have it flushed, and hopefully I don't throw good antifreeze away. But
yeah, no, Russ, where do you guys get your alkalinity stuff? He says he can't get them anymore.
We just walk into any auto parts store and buy them. I mean, you could do it that way. The other way you can do it too is get online, go to Amazon and buy pH strips for testing for hard water.
No kidding.
It's an alkalinity strip. Yeah, it's for hard water. Sure.
Okay. I was just wondering because they act like I'm coming from outer space. I walked into the dealer, and yesterday I went into the Chrysler dealer here in town, and she said, "I never heard of such a thing."
I can believe that. There's a lot of stuff.
You could use pool strips, couldn't you? Because that's one of the tests on a pool strip.
Test. So a lot of these places have these things, and they don't know what it is.
Sure.
It goes back to the days where I could call an auto parts. I could call the dealership or any auto parts place and say, "Hey, I'm looking for this. You know what? Here's our suggestion." They would suggest something good. They would know, but you know, in their defense, there's thousands more cars now than there used to be, models and things. So back then it was like, I have a Chevy, I have a Ford, I have a Dodge, and that's it. And they were all very similar. Oh, this model number carb you have? No problem. Well, it takes this. Well, now it might have who knows what. But a lot of times, if you know what you're looking for, get a part number and then call them and say, do you have this number?
Oh, okay.
And they say, sure. Google it. You'll find it. out on YouTube or something somewhere. You're going to find that number and then call with it. You'll have it, because I can't tell you how many times I call and I give them a part number and they get it right away.
Yeah, we got one of them in the back, and then
Yep.
you talked to them the day before. They didn't know what it was, and that's not a fault of the person because they just haven't had that experience.
You know what it is because you've got one in your hand and you can describe it.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to describe it, what?
Well, and that could be in any. I mean, think of. I know for a fact that I could go to work at the radio station tomorrow and ask half of the people there what that equipment is or what that equipment is, and they would have no frame of reference for it.
Yeah, you've got stuff sitting behind that wall in the
Mhm.
hallway there that, I only know what it is because I asked one time.
Right.
What does that do? Oh,
Mhm.
that's this. I mean, I know what the cart machines were and splicers and things, but there's some other stuff. They're like, what is that? And then when they tell me, oh, I've heard about it, so I
Mhm.
know somebody told me about it. And but I'm not going to be able to sell you one of those if you said, hey, go get the XYZ
Right.
from behind the what?
Can you play this? I don't think we can. I've never seen that. That's happened where someone brings something in on tape or and it's just so outmoded that
It's as simple as asking your friend or relative that happens to stop by and you're in the garage and they're not exposed to mechanics at all and tell them to bring a half-inch ratchet to you.
Mhm.
That you only know what you know.
Dead blow hammer, for instance.
You only knew what you knew.
Roger, thanks very much for the call.
I'm putting a presentation together right now to present at our National Trade Association meeting, and one of my slides is about people having blind spots. If you won't admit that you have blind spots, you're in big trouble.
For sure.
Whether it be your business or your own personality. If you don't admit that it's you.
What are you trying to say?
I'm trying to say that you don't know everything.
866-594-4150. Let's talk to Doug. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Doug, what can we do for you?
I don't know everything either.
That's why you're calling us, right?
Yeah, that's right. Say I recently purchased a 2001 Chevy Camaro SS, and it's a roller. And it had a LS157, I believe, with a T56 manual transmission. My question is, I'm on a budget. I don't want to pay $8,000 for a 6.0 and a 6-speed out of, say, an 06 GTO. Am I better off finding the original 5.7 with a T56, or would it be cheaper to go with a 5.3 or a 6.0 out of a truck and put an intake? Do you guys delve into this kind of
Oh, yeah.
This question, not for me, I don't think.
You want to jump in, Chris?
No, I think I'll let you guys handle this one.
What are you going to do with the car when you're done with it?
It's going to be a driver. It's convertible, so I don't know how much horsepower. It'd be nice to have more than the 300 or 330 they had in the LS1.
Which was plenty, by the way, for most situations.
Yeah, if it's got nothing in it now, I would say if you like the manual trans idea, get yourself a manual trans.
The trans is actually the harder piece of the puzzle nowadays to find than the engine, in my opinion.
But if you're going with a manual, get any manual that you want to put in the car, and then nobody's going to know the difference on the outside, and it's going to run just the same. I would go find yourself, for budget-wise, a truck engine, either a 5.3 or a 6.0. Get yourself a 5.3, which is going to be the more affordable. 6.0s are getting a lot harder to find right now, cost-wise, but you can get that 5.3. You can get a low-profile kit for it, so you can put a front drive on it and a low intake, so it'll look cool on the outside. Put yourself a little bigger camshaft in it, and then a catback exhaust system on it. That way, it's going to sound cool. It's going to look cool.
You should be
going to get good mileage.
Over 400 horsepower, most likely.
And your mileage is probably going to be, if you've got a 6-speed in it, or even a 5, you're probably going to get, 19 around town, maybe 21 on the highway, depending on what you got going on in it. But yeah, you can get all the best of both worlds for that.
Did they pull all the wiring out of it when they took it out?
I think some of it's still there, but he might have taken a couple in, so I'm concerned about that also.
Because if you could happen to find one out of another Camaro or Firebird from 98 through, they quit making that generation. You should be able to plug it right back into the firewall and go. But if you think you have a really chopped up wiring harness and you're concerned about that, and you don't want to buy an aftermarket harness or whatever it might happen to be, then you might go down that road of putting a carburetor on it and just keeping it simple. for now, because there is some really nice kits to buy intakes for them and put it back to a carburetor and keep it simple and just make it run. And that can be done. But that definitely the cheapest engine to bolt in there with the same motor mount locations and everything like that would be any of the LS variants, 5.3, 4.8, 6.0, 6.2, whatever you can get your hands on.
So on a is there any trouble? I've been doing some research on forums on the T56 and a short shaft and a long shaft that when they go to connect to that 5.3, is there a big issue there?
No, they'll all connect to it. Some of them will take an adapter on the flywheel, but that's it. They'll work either way. We sold hundreds of these engines, I think we sold 380 of them total LS packages, and they had the only difference was an adapter on the flywheel. We put T56s behind them. We did the Corvette trans, we did the Camaro trans, we did automatics, and everything was just a matter of a little spacer adapter or not when we swapped them out, and any Chevy trans behind that engine.
Doug, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. See, once again, LS, just my new company right there for you.
No, we tried it, Chris. Don't do it.
No, I'm just putting out LS. I'm not doing any switching. I'm just building them, sending them out.
No, we did that. Oh. It was horrible.
866
and great all the same.
594-4150. Let's talk to Chad. You're on the Under the Hood show. Chad, what can we do for you?
Hey, fellas. Got an 01 F-150 bumping 300,000 miles, and if I have the overdrive on, all of a sudden when it shifts like into high gear, it'll just shake like a dog crapping peat cheese, and otherwise it runs pretty good, but it ain't throwing no codes. I've been through the coil packs, the plugs, and all that, checked all the wiring going to all that stuff, and I'm starting to fear it's in the transmission. But the fluid is fine. It's as pink as could be, and doesn't smell burnt, nothing. Any ideas there?
It could be a transmission issue, but I'd still lean more towards ignition. I'd want to put an ignition scope on it and watch it while I'm driving it and see. That's how we discern what one or the other. I'm going to drive it up that hill at about 45 miles an hour in high gear. When it hits overdrive, watch it. And if that scope is showing an ignition miss, well, that's what we got to go after. If not, get ready to put that trans in it.
How many times? Because I think...
Or just don't do that. Just drive it without going into overdrive. Exactly. Keep it around town.
How often, and I think I know the answer to this, how often does a norm come in, like me, who doesn't know anything, who thinks they have a transmission problem, and it turns out, or how many ignition problems do regular people think are transmission problems? Most
ignition problems people think are transmission problems when they come in. It's rare for somebody to say, "Hey, I think my car has an ignition problem. It's missing. My trans is going out." No, it's not your trans. Oh no, what is it? It's $800 instead of $4,000. Right. Oh, well, that's good. Yeah, what's worse is if you fix that ignition thing and then 6 months later they come in and the trans is out.
Yeah, exactly.
I had that on the Windstar.
Yeah.
It was an ignition problem, and then I was leaving chirp marks in the garage because when you went into reverse, it had to...
Yeah, you had to floor it to get it to go.
The problem was it was a Windstar.
Hey.
I'm just saying
Listen, it. Don't start with me. I don't need that. Does that help you out there, Chad?
Sure. Thanks, yes.
Yeah, that is a big... the ignition miss is such a weird feeling thing, I can say from experience.
I figure, is it safe to rip on Winstars now? Because
when we were in Ford school,
there's none out there.
The engineers told us when we were in Ford, they said, "Do you know what the Windstar was named after or why?" And we went, "No, we really don't care." I mean, they were being brand new. They were being made.
Nice student over there. We don't care.
Yeah. They were going to be electric. So they called them the Windstar. They had made some that were electric for test vehicles, and they were it was going to be their first EV. And then they said, "Oh, EVs will never catch on." So they axed it and put a engine in it.
Put a 3.8 in there.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, we want to hear from you. The phone number to reach us, 866-594-4150. You're listening to the Under the Hood Show.
Prepare to learn something. You're going under the hood.
866-594-4150. That's the number to reach us here at the Under the Hood Show. Let's talk to Scruffy. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Scruffy, what can we do for you?
Yes, sir. I'm a caretaker with 2009 Saturn Sky Redline, and I was wondering if there's any type of ethanol that can safely burn in there other than premium.
Well, this is basically the same car Chris has. You got the turbo one or no turbo?
Turbo.
You got the turbo. Oh, it's a Redline. Yeah, it's got a turbo. So,
Yes.
You got the windscreen on the back, the behind the seat screen?
That goes right behind the seats for like a wind deflector?
Yep.
Yeah. You have that?
No, I do not have that yet.
Okay.
Why?
I'm thinking about that.
Oh,
I was wondering
I
how
thought you were going
if
to
it-
brag about how well it worked.
No, I was wondering if it made a distance or a difference. I was wondering if it made a difference because
Catches
I've
bugs.
thought about it. You know, they say sometimes when you lose a loved one, a butterfly comes back to you. Well, I have killed all my old relatives because that thing eats butterflies. I get home and it's like a show on the front of that thing. It's beautiful.
Colorful.
Yeah, they're all dead, but
Oh,
beautiful.
the colors. Oh, man. Well, you can run 15% in there without any problem, but anything more than that in that car, and we're going to want to watch what the fuel trims are to see how lean they get. You get too much, and you're gonna turn the check engine light on. Chris's car has that problem. You know, you run 30, run for a while, and then turn the light on because it's just running a little too lean. It's just a little too much for it. 15's fine. 20 would be fine if they had 20 in a pump. That would run all day, and most cars that are fuel injected, but yeah, and in that one I'd stick with probably 15, and
just based on very recent experience.
But a premium fuel for sure. I would get the highest rating premium you could get, which is going to be 91 or 93 in some places. But I've noticed a lot of the 93s now. There used to be 2 stations here that carried it, and Chris went and looked, and he says, nope, they don't carry it anymore. And sure enough, they don't. They've got 91.
They didn't even have that. The one that used to have the whole plethora. They have just 87 and 89 now.
Oh, they've dumped the 91
Yeah.
at the burger place thing?
Yeah.
Oh, that's weird because they used to have actually top tier ethanol at 93 and 91.
Yeah.
I know we can still get 91, in our town. That's
It is that is
usually when they burn.
yeah. Go with the 91, and there there's a lot more places now, especially when the fuel prices go up. The selections tend to change, and a lot of the independent places drop what they're carrying, and a lot of the big box, we'll call it box store gas stations, they're dropping some of those too, where they've got 91 and then the regular. They're gonna have to watch it because octane has always been a huge problem in the industry of how these cars will last, longevity and mileage and things like that, and why we're having to switch. And I'm wondering if we have not seen any formal record yet, so we can't say for sure, but I'm wondering if it's not being intentionally pushed out to try to push the electric vehicles, because if you don't have a high rated octane fuel, you cannot get the performance out of the cars, so your emissions go up. You can't do it. Like we've said before, if you make a 95 octane fuel, any auto manufacturer can make a car that performs well, gets great mileage, and that has low emissions. And it's not hard to do at an affordable price, but they're not doing it.
You need to be able to get that fuel every
Yeah,
time.
and we're seeing it less. I look around and I see a lot of these stations, like you said, Chris, a lot of them that used to even just carry a premium don't even have a premium. They're 87 and they call their premium 88, which is a joke because it's really not. The other thing I've been seeing lately, you notice the prices going up, right, guys?
Oh yeah, just a little bit.
What?
Yeah.
It
Well,
is?
as the prices go up,
A little bit.
I've actually seen a half a dozen stations in the last week because I've been looking for them. I saw the first one, and E15 was more money than non-ethanol. And I said, that's not right. And now I've looked around and I've seen a half a dozen of them that where the E15 is 1 penny or 2 pennies higher than the non-ethanol, which is not the case because the wholesale price is less, and the E85 is like running the same prices as E15, which is a joke too.
So somebody's just making a good profit margin.
Somebody's gouging somewhere. Yeah.
No,
and that's happened before when the price started going up. There's a huge spread when it was lower, but when the prices went up, we saw that, and it doesn't get anybody wanting to make a shift. You're going to go. What do? You go for the lowest price. Period. As long as it's not going to hurt your car. Doesn't matter what it is. It could be baby oil running that thing. You're going to run.
It's that last part that's the trick.
Yeah. Will this hurt my car? It says 100% baby oil, but it's 2 cents a gallon. Is it okay?
Surprised nobody's called and asked yet.
Scruffy, thanks very much for the call. 866-594-4150. Let's talk to Paul. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Paul, what can we do for you?
2018 Duramax. I'm getting a shutter, and I don't know if there's injector problems or if it would be with the Allison transmission. It kind of idles rough, so I'm leaning towards injectors, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, if it's idling rough, the transmission wouldn't have anything to do with that unless it was in gear and coming out of gear as it was sitting there going back and forth. So I'd lean more towards an injection or a fuel injection system issue, period, like the whole injection system, something going on either with the CP pump in there or the injectors themselves, something failing, causing it to run rough like that. And it could be any number of things. We've seen some issues with the pumps on those where they start dropping metal in the system, and the injectors, they'll start to fail because they'll get contamination. And then you have to replace the whole fuel system, the tank, lines.
He doesn't want to hear that.
All of it when that happens. But so I guess the bottom line is anytime you have any noticeable issue with the fuel system,
don't ignore it.
Fix it now instead of later, or otherwise it's going to get very expensive. And make sure the fuel filters are changed often. Super cheap insurance on the Duramax.
On a very expensive setup. When they work great, they're awesome. People love them. When they start to break, they hate them.
Well, and that's a major thing we talk about a lot. You have to make sure you're getting the vehicle for your needs, right?
Mm-hmm. That's why the manufacturers are coming out with so many gas motors in their heavy trucks. They found that they were having a group of people that were forced into a product to get the need that they have, but they were not people that should own them.
Mm-hmm.
And it caused them nightmares in their service side of things.
And that's
my opinion, at least.
And that is, I mean, the cost difference for someone who's never owned a diesel is remarkable.
It is. Hey, quick shout out here. If you want to learn a little more about EVs in our local town here, Sioux Valley Electric is having a EV Expo on Tuesday, September 19th at the WH Line Fairgrounds.
Last one was good.
It was great. There was an EV car show, and there's dealers going to have vehicles out there you can drive and test. Great event. I enjoyed talking to existing EV owners as much as anything and asking them some questions about their use case on how they use their cars. That was intriguing to me, both positive and negative on what thoughts I had.
That'll do it for this hour of the Under the Hood Show. Thanks for joining us. Until next time, you can find us at underthehoodshow.com. For Russ Evans, Shannon Nordstrom, I'm Chris Carter. Thanks for joining us on the Under the Hood Show. Now on the after show. Yes.
This is official now.
Now we are.
The show's over and we're into the after show.
We're into the after show. We're still on YouTube. I guess I don't have to tell anyone because if they're hearing me, they're on YouTube. Okay. Yes, this is the after show. Talk the EV thing. You went to the last one, right? You went over there and checked out the vehicles. And like you said, talking to the EV owners was the best part of that.
Yeah, I enjoyed that because, there was a lady there that had a new Hyundai Ioniq.
Okay.
And she was pretty excited about it, and she was going to get another one.
Okay.
But I listened to how she used the car, but then I also listened to her about how she has to plan her trips. And they were going to Minneapolis, and they had to plan the trip to go, to figure out where the charging stations were at. And then they got to one, and the charging station wasn't available. And yeah, you can come on up now. And the just listening to these use case scenarios and the excitement. There were some people that had some Tesla Roadsters there, and able to talk to them about how long they've had it, why they bought it, and that was just interesting. And then getting a chance to drive. Graham from town here had some of their Audi stuff there. Sioux Falls Ford had Lightning trucks and e-tron, the Audi e-trons, and there's just some neat stuff that you get a chance just to hop in and take
Tony
a little
Stark
cruise.
had one of those,
An e-tron?
Yeah.
Here you guys go on sci-fi on me again.
I'm just telling you, he had one.
What was his called?
An e-tron.
See, that's why I don't know. That's why I don't play this game, and I just got caught.
They often stick these things in popular movies before they come out to get people excited about them, and then the actual one's kind of lame.
Wasn't that how the retro Camaro came back? Wasn't that on the
that was Transformers, wasn't it?
Yeah. Good
ding.
Good
yes.
job.
Did I get a win?
Shannon.
Did I get a win on that one?
Yeah, way to go,
All
buddy.
right. Oh, I'm proud of myself every once in a while.
You want to
That's all
introduce
good.
our guests?
Yeah, we've got some hoodies that traveled. They were in town from Rapid City, and we'd like to welcome Carter and Whitney. We're giving them a VIP experience here. They said they'd want to stop in for a quick hello, and we've got a full day schedule, but we squeezed them in here, and Carter and Whitney are here, and they're stopped in. So all of a sudden, we're doing the show, and they're sitting in the background listening, and they and I'm talking, and Chris and Russ are doing hand signals, and they're trying to line up headphones so they can hear what's going on in the studio. Otherwise, you can't hear anything. Yep. Now we got them sitting at the table with microphones.
How about that?
So
awesome. Appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, get a little closer to the mic there. Bring it up to you. How long have you been listening to the show?
I've been listening to the show for probably 5 or 6 years now.
All right. And where do you listen at?
I listen on 100.7 in Rapid City, South Dakota.
All right.
So I believe it's Kelloland, the local station.
Oh, sure.
107 point. I did not know it went out there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And then I also I do dirt work, so I listen to you guys while I'm running equipment through Spotify.
All right.
Yep.
Yeah,
Nice.
So you're a podcaster and a terrestrial radio.
Yep. Yeah.
So as Whitney, have you gotten a liking for the show, or is it just him?
I have when I listen to it with him. Yeah.
Okay, but you don't go tune it on just by
No,
yourself?
when
I
listen
trap
to
her
it
in
with
the
him,
car.
It's not bad. Yeah.
Yep. Trap her in the car and hit
So
play.
we got a raving fan and not bad.
Yeah, that's
okay.
it's pretty fair.
We'll take that. So what first attracted you to the show?
I think my dad, he was a truck driver, and he always listened to talk radio. It started with Bob and Tom back in the day, and that was one of my favorites. And then that kind of phased out, and he passed away in 2018, so I found more talk radio and podcast and kind of just stumbled my way onto it.
So, okay, what else do you guys like to listen to? Because I like to profile a little bit so I learn.
I listen to a lot of fishing podcasts as well. That's really about it.
Is that the Masturbators podcast? No,
that one is Jigs and Bigs.
We're in the after show, so
Hey,
I had to throw the fishing joke out there.
It was.
There's a comma in there, a space. It's not all one word, Shannon.
Yes.
Can't help myself.
Yeah, you can.
You need to help me. So fishing. What else?
That's pretty much about it.
So you live to fish?
Pretty much. We drove all this way. Hopefully, we're gonna go do some fishing in Sioux Falls later today.
Yep.
All right. So you had told me that, and I forgot that. Where are you fishing at?
We're gonna be fishing in Family Park today.
Okay.
Hopefully today and tomorrow. We're gonna take the kayaks down there, and hopefully that all works out well. So.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, we're gonna go.
What do they got in there? What are you fishing for?
Largemouth bass. Yep.
Were you aware of this, Chris?
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm. It's not on my radar. So.
Yes, we're gonna fish there, and then there's a place called Lake Minot in between here and Mitchell. We're gonna fish there too. Okay. Hopefully tomorrow.
Yes. I'd want bigger fish than that.
I know. There's some big ones down there. We'll see. We'll see what happens. So.
You just got your old dad joke hat on
Hey, that's
today,
okay.
Huh? Yeah.
That's right. We'll take it. This is awesome.
So, all right, Whitney's sitting here quietly. Get closer to the mic. So, if you're in the office, and what's your family's company? Tell us what that is.
It's Dakota Battery and Electric.
Okay.
In Rapid City.
All right. And what do you do?
Yeah, we rebuild starters and alternators, electric motors, and then in the shop side, we do electrical work on vehicles.
A lot of restorations on old vehicles.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we're working on.
You didn't say that earlier.
Yeah, we're working on a I think it's a '69 Charger right now. It's just getting ready to go to Barrett Jackson here in a few weeks.
Oh, so like next level stuff.
Yeah. So one of our main mechanics, he's a big Mopar guy. That's all he thinks about. So he gets in a lot of those projects. And
Is his name Joe?
His name is Mopar Mark is what we call him. Yep, and he loves those.
That was a reasonable question.
So, yep, we're working on those. We got a lot of we worked on a Pontiac Chieftain that went to Barrett Jackson not too long ago. That was a pretty cool car. So a lot of restorations and just hot rods, really.
Oh, that's see, there's so much more below the surface when you start learning.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
so how many people are involved in this operation then?
We have 3 guys in the shop area.
Yep.
3 guys in the rebuild room, and then probably about 4 or 5 in the office area for retail.
It's about 10 or 12. 10 to 12.
And so you're selling batteries out the door for people?
All day, every day.
Okay. And
I build custom battery cables. So for equipment and cars and stuff like that, from the starter to the battery.
What's the name of this company again?
Dakota
Battery and Electric.
All right, we're gonna write that down here.
I was telling the father-in-law about it, and he's like, "Oh, I remember going to Nordstrom's to pick up a motor one time."
Yep.
So I was telling him about it. Yeah, I've been excited about it for a while.
So Whitney, what do you like to listen to?
Pretty much anything really. I'm not picky.
Okay.
I pretty much listen to anything from country music to podcasts to really whatever.
Whatever goes on there. So, well, that's
a good coworker right there.
Right. I'm not picky.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
You get to pick. I'll listen.
It's just background noise.
Pretty much.
Well, that's awesome. Well, we're glad you guys are hoodies.
Yes.
Thanks for stopping in.
No problem.
We
Thank
can't
you
do
guys
this for everybody if you're listening, but we do appreciate people that are loyal to the show and
we can for
show a passion
sponsors
for
though.
it. That's for sure.
For sponsors.
Yeah, if you want to pay something, we'll.
So we
want to talk to you before you leave too. Don't.
I get to test the camera switching too with the guests here. I just make fine-tuned adjustments.
Yeah,
over
talk
there.
again a little bit there once. Just say something like. Tell us a joke. You got any good jokes?
I'm not good with jokes.
How about Whitney? Are you any good with jokes?
Not unless I have it right in front of me.
Oh man, I'm
See,
trying
look
to
at
think.
the camera turns
Yeah,
there.
take one quick.
Oh, look at that.
That is pretty.
You guys,
Nice.
that's pretty
We're so
impressive.
glad you guys came.
We're testing our guest mics right now.
Hey, that's perfect.
Good.
That's perfect.
Can you turn around? You can see yourself. You'll scare you, but there you are right there. So whenever
kinda
you
freaky.
talk, then the mic will turn to you
So go tell
automatically.
10,000 people on YouTube to go watch.
Yeah,
I will.
Do you have like a big channel, like a fishing channel?
I do. I run a YouTube channel and then I do Instagram and Facebook. So that's
what's that called?
That's Real SD Outdoors.
All right.
REEL SD.
He's probably got more followers than us.
Yeah, I will definitely be making a post on there later today with some cool pictures.
Well, this after show will be published for you to see
in minutes. I mean,
well,
as soon as we're
it's
done,
up there now, but I go back by the end of the day. It's usually 24 hours for YouTube to filter it all, but I go through and I cut all the commercial breaks out and all that stuff and straighten it up. And then tomorrow, by the middle of the day tomorrow, it'll be up in its normal form with all the good stuff on it. And
all right.
And right now it'll be up there as a live.
Yeah, it'll be up there.
Yeah, because I was watching in the parking lot before I come in. We pulled in.
Awesome.
I was like, I think that's the place right there. So
well, I will. When we get done here with you guys, I'm going to do some production, and then I'll take and show you around the facility quick while they're finishing up. And I'm glad you're here. Thanks for stopping in.
No problem.
Very
Thank
much.
you guys.
Yeah.
It's been awesome. So I'm gonna go down there and get a hoodie or a hat. So
we'll get you helped
right.
out there.
Cool.
What? So that's kind of it for the after show, huh? We got stuff to do. You got tours to give.
Yeah, and Doug wants to take us out for lunch. He's been trying to do that for what, 2 years?
What a day!
3.
This is like my favorite day ever. This is good.
It's the best
If I'd have
day.
known, if I would have paid attention, I
day
would have
ever.
What
washed.
movie was that?
It's SpongeBob.
Oh.
All the best day ever.
I would have washed my car. I didn't know.
Continuous.
I don't.
I didn't know we'd have
I
gas.
only know that because I heard it on KNWC yesterday. They said, "Oh, by the way, that's SpongeBob." I'm like, "Okay."
All right, that'll do it for the after show. Thanks everybody. Thanks for joining us on the Under the Hood Show.